Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to take a closer look at Intel. Unfortunately, the company just reported earnings and stock price is down over 10%. I want to say I'm sorry because I know for a lot of you, Intel is your favorite semiconductor company. So what I want to do in today's episode is take a closer look at what was wrong with their earnings, but more importantly, how it might impact some of my favorite semiconductor companies like AMD and Nvidia. Sometimes the bad for one competitor means good for the others, but sometimes that might not be the case. So let's take a closer look in today's episode.
I do want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and make sure to check out fool.com/Jose to get the top 10 stocks to buy right now.
Like I mentioned, right now Intel is down $3, down 10% as the earnings call is happening at the moment. We can see other big players in the semiconductor space are kind of following suit. AMD is down roughly 3%, and even Nvidia is down roughly 2.2% at the moment. I honestly was surprised to see the overall market right now. I thought Nvidia would actually be down a little bit more. But let's take a closer look at earnings. So we can see revenue was down 28% to $14 billion. I think this is insane. We can see gross margins down 12.1 percentage points. Earnings per share are down to 10 cents, down 92%. The overall company does say that, hey, most of these highlights or most of this is kind of within our range. They did mention revenue is within their outlook range of October. The overall gross margins a little bit below, but nothing too crazy. And their overall earnings per share also did miss their October outlook. So we can see things are not looking good. I want to take a closer look at the overall markets, but before I want to jump to the overall company's outlook. And for quarter one of 2023, the company expects the revenue to be somewhere between $10.5 to $11.5 billion. That's down 40%. They do expect a huge loss in earnings per share as well, and their gross margins to drop below 40%. What really is crazy is let's take a closer look at that revenue, right? That revenue was in the $10 billion range. Here, if we take a closer look at Y charts, that kind of revenue, I'm taking a closer look at the past 10 years. In the past 10 years, and Intel has had over $12.5 billion in revenue. So if it does fall within that range, it means Intel will not have revenue numbers that it hasn't seen in over 10 years. And I do believe this is the biggest impact here for this overall semiconductor giant. We are seeing, I want to say here, we're taking a closer look at how Intel, more importantly, is going to affect some of my favorite plays like AMD and like Nvidia. They do mention client computing was down 36% year over year due to the overall PC demand softening. I do believe this is going to be the case for AMD and Nvidia. And the main reason stocks are down for advanced micro devices and Nvidia right now, we can see those 2 to 3%. About a week, I think early this week, we saw numerous analyst upgrading upgrading the semiconductor market. And one of my fears, if you watched that video, was that, hey, certain investors might get a little bit too overexcited for the semiconductor companies, even though the first 2 quarters of this year might still be a bit weak. And that's what we're seeing, at least for the quarter 4 of last year. I do believe we can't, and with that outlook that Intel gave us, is showing us that, hey, even the first quarter of 2022 is also going to be weak one way or another. And that's what's really driving those overall stock prices down. Next, what we're seeing is the data center market, right? The data center market, they are seeing that, hey, right now, total addressable market is contracting and they're having that competitive pressure. Their data center revenue is down 33% year over year. I want to say this is definitely a bullish case for AMD. One of the reasons, what are they saying? That competitive pressure. AMD, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to grab that market share, and we're going to see a huge data center win for AMD. Now, on the other hand, the data center market for Nvidia is a bit of a leader here in data center GPUs. So maybe they might not see that contraction that Intel is seeing because they don't have that much competitive pressure. But because there is that total addressable market contraction at the moment, Nvidia's data center market might only grow small single digits quarter over quarter, and nothing too crazy year over year. So that's my thought process here for the data center in Intel and Nvidia and AMD. Now, I want to take a closer look at some markets that that Intel is growing and how that affects AMD and Nvidia. So there are two markets that are seeing at least some recent strength for Intel. First is going to be the mobile eye. That is the automotive segment. We know AMD just recently acquired Xilinx. Those solutions from the embedded market is going, in my opinion, I believe are going to be strong for this company. And we know that the embedded market is a huge margin grower for AMD. So in my opinion, AMD is looking good for the data center market, for the embedded market. Maybe not so strong for the consumer market though. Now we know Nvidia, right, is also hitting the automotive market. I do believe Nvidia is going to continue to grow in this space, just how we saw Intel's mobile eye unit grow. Next, we kind of see a little growth in the accelerated computing market. This is, and they're driven by supercompute ramp. Right now, again, supercompute is, even though that's a product for Intel, it kind of focuses on supercomputers, on data centers in the accelerated space. AMD and Nvidia both have GPUs and other accelerators that I do believe will continue to grow. So to me, even though we did see a very, very bad quarter for Intel, I don't necessarily believe that's going to be the same case. Obviously, there might be some slowdown in AMD, like I mentioned, especially in that consumer side, especially maybe in that gaming side, and for Nvidia too. But in the data center market, in the mobile market, I do believe these two companies have, like I mentioned earlier, some growth opportunities. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.